Yo, we back at it with another fucking video. But we back at it with another video. It's your boy Sid. Following through with a video that I said I was gonna make on my last video, which is basically, excuse the noise in the background, but basically, who can be seen from which house in astrology, basically, in terms of derivative houses. We're gonna look at different people like in family, different people you may know and who could be seen in terms of their energies within your birth chart. So, with that being said, in the last video I made, I talked about, the video before the last one on which house represents the father and the mother in a birth chart in astrology. We talked about how the fourth house right here, you see the number 4? The fourth house represents the mother, right? And I showed examples of, and readings basically, how that resonated with the person or with a couple people. And then the ninth house represented the father, right? So we gotta talk about which house is going to represent other people, basically, right? Hold on one second, my bad. I left my marker. I don't even know where my damn marker's at. Hold on one second. Bingo. I needed this. I needed this in my life. We're gonna talk about it, right? We're gonna talk about who can be seen from which house. So let's start with siblings, right? Normally siblings will be seen from your third house. So this is the area you want to look for. But we want to be specific. So if you're a person and you have a younger sister or brother, youngest sibling, basically, they will be seen from the third house. So this is going to be your first youngest sibling, right? So I'm gonna put first younger sibling, and this is the third house again, right? Third house. So your first youngest sibling will be seen from the third house. Now, whenever we're talking about certain people, it's always going to be the other house or every other house that's going to indicate the next in order, right? So say if you have another younger sibling after this first younger sibling, right, in terms of seniority, that would be seen from the fifth house. So the fifth house would be your second younger sibling if you have one. Second younger sibling. And then also, you also gotta flavor in, of course, the planets. If you see any planets in these houses, this will also denote their energy as well too. Just as an example. So if you have a third younger sibling, say if you like elder, one of the oldest ones, or the older sibling, not the older sibling, the older, the eldest of your siblings, hypothetically speaking, and say if you had a third younger sibling, it'd be seen from the seventh house. So this would be the third younger, y'all can see that, mind the way, younger sibling. Alright, then we go so on. So you see how we basically, from the third house to the fifth house to the seventh, we basically skipped every other one, every other spot. If you have a fourth youngest sibling, I don't know, maybe your folks, maybe they was putting in work or something. So maybe you got a lot of siblings or something. Maybe they was handling their business in the bedroom or something. So you might have we got 7 for third. So the fourth house, of course, it's the father as well too. But this will also represent if you have a fourth younger sibling. All right. And then so on and so on. So if you had a fifth younger sibling, it'd be seen from the 11th. If you had a sixth, from the first, right? And so on. So those are younger siblings. Now, if you have a older sibling, you always want to start with the 11th house. So this would be like your eldest sibling, your eldest, basically, if you have a couple older ones. So 11th house. And we're always going, in terms of the order, we're always going to go counterclockwise. So you're going to go in this manner, basically, as this is the order from house 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way to 12. 12 signs, 12 houses, right? So Yeah, this would be your eldest sibling. I wrote that wrong. Older sibling, basically, but eldest sibling, right? And then say if you have another older sibling, but they're the next one in line in terms of seniority under this sibling, go to the first house. So we put eldest sibling. Then we can put second. I'm gonna put oldest sibling, right? And then you so on. You know what I mean? So if you had a third oldest sibling in terms of seniority, then you would look at the third house. So this could be third older sibling. This would be the third house, right? So again, you just continue on basically if you had a large family. So let's talk about spouses. Spouses, you know what I mean, marriage partners, things of that nature. Always look at the seventh house. Seventh house is going to be the first marriage. So we'll put first marriage. Right? Now, if you get married again, if it doesn't work out, God forbid, you're going to go up to the ninth house. Remember, it's every other one. So from the seventh house, skip a space, go to that ninth house. This would be your second marriage or spouse. Alright, second marriage. One thing I want to note is that I've also seen that with studying energy that the person doesn't necessarily for them to be considered like your spouse or your marriage partner, it's not always written in stone like, okay, well, y'all got actually married on paper and y'all signed a contract in terms of getting married. I've seen if people are actually embodying that energy, then it could represent them too. So for instance, if you're not necessarily maybe married to somebody, but y'all are living together, y'all are playing that role, then that energy can show up as that basically. You know, even if it's not written in stone. So just keep that in consideration. You know what I mean? Keep that in consideration. So let's continue on. If you have a third marriage, that'll be seen from the 11th house. So we'll put third marriage. Right? Then if you have a fourth marriage, God forbid, you know what I mean? I don't know, you might need to give it up if it comes out of fourth marriage. I don't know, maybe it's not meant to be. You know what I mean? But, you know, shout out to those who are married if they make it to four. So the fourth marriage would be seen from the first house basically. So we'll put fourth marriage or spouse, but I'll put marriage. Right? So fourth marriage basically. Continuing on, if there's a fifth marriage, you know what I mean, which we don't want, but it'll be the third house. Alright, so yeah. So let's talk about grandparents, right? We're going to start with your grandmother on your mother's side, right? So this would be seen from the seventh house. This is your, I put GMA, but I'm gonna put in parentheses mother, or I'll put mom's mom. Right? So now why does it seem like that? Why is why is it that the seventh house represents your mother's mother? Okay? So let's come back to you. You're always seen by the first house. This is you. The first house represents you in your birth chart. So 4 spaces away represents your mother. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's your mother right here, right? So 4 spaces away from your mother's, would be her mother basically. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So we got your grandma, your mother's mother, 4 spaces away from your mother. So 7th house is where you find out your grandmother's energy, right? If we want to think about your father's mother, which would be your grandmother on his side, on the paternal side, look at the 12th house, because this is 4 spaces away from the father, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. 12th house is, I'm gonna put GMA for grandma, but I'm gonna put Pop's mom. So it's your pops or your father's mother, right? 12th house would indicate her, right? So let's look at the grandfather. Grandfather would be, we'll go to let's start with the mother's father. So this would be 9 spaces away, because the father is seen 9 spaces away from the person that we're inquiring about. So this would be should be the 12th house too, I think, but we'll see. Let's count it up. So 9 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. So we got, I'm gonna put G, P, A, grandpa, and this would be the mother or mom's. Y'all can see that? Am I in the way? So this would be the mom's father or pop, right? And the reason, again, if we want to understand why, is because, okay, the first house represents you. 9 spaces away from that represents your father, right? So if we go back to the mother, we're counting 9 spaces away from her. That'd be her father, all right? So let's do the same thing for your father. 9 spaces away from him would be an example of your grandfather, which would be his father, right? So let's count away, and it should be the 5th house. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, 5th house. So this would be your GPA, grandpa, and we got your father's father or pops, right? So 5th house is a representation of that. Okay, so I'm gonna be transparent with y'all. Well, first, excuse me, before I get there, let's say this. So 11th house. 11th house talks about stepchildren. So yeah, stepchildren is 11th house. If you have any stepchildren, so I just put stepchild. Again, if you have more than one stepchild, you go every other one. So the second stepchild will be seen from the 1st house, right? This is the first stepchild, the 11th house. Now, why would the 11th house be stepchildren, basically? The reason being is because from, again, let's start with you. Your house 1, this represents the self, right? You as an individual. 5 spaces away represents your child, basically. Oh, we didn't even get there. I'm jumping around. I didn't even talk about children. All right, so you know what? Let's jump back. We're gonna talk about stepchildren in a second, but let's start over. Let's talk about your children first, because I'm jumping again. So we said 5 spaces away is gonna represent your first child, right? So we got first child is seen by the 5th house, right? If you have children, they're gonna be seen by that 5th house. 7th house, second child. Second child. And then we continue to follow the order. The next house after this one, after 8, would be 3rd child if you have one. 3rd child. 4th child would be 4th child, which is house 11. Right? And if you have a 5th child, it'll be seen from house 1. So I just put 5th child. Okay. Now let's get to stepchildren, because this is what I skipped over basically by accident. So again, 1st house is you. It represents yourself, physical body, things of that nature, appearance. So this is you. So 5 spaces away, again, we said is your child, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we want to talk about stepchildren, back to that 11th house, again, we said this is the first stepchild. The reason being is because your first marriage or your spouse is seen from house 7. So 5 spaces away, which represent children, would be the 11th house. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is your spouse's child, right? And then it's interesting in terms of the dynamic because first house is your child, 11th house is your spouse's child or stepchildren. This is your children. 5th, you know what I mean? It's saying opposite of the 11th, so it's interesting in terms of that dynamic. Let's see, what else? Ninth house is in-laws. Reason being is because your third house represents your relatives, your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, things of that nature. Right? So we could put aunts, uncles, relatives. Right? So this is house 3. So from your spouse's your first spouse's perspective, 3 spaces away would be her or his brothers and sisters basically. So these could be like in-laws right here in this 9th house. What else? Oh, 6th house represents pets, your relationship towards pets. So if you have any pets, looking at 6th house, of course you got to know the energy of the signs, what they represent, negatives and positives of each sign. And then you also need to know, again, the energy of the planets as well, because again, like I said, that's going to flavor the energy. Trying to think, is there anything else? Of course, 12th house is hidden enemies. In terms of their energy. And then the 7th house is open enemies. Can't even fit this all here, but open enemies, things of that nature. So yeah, that's just a couple people. You know, of course it gets deep, but you know, in terms of derivative houses, these are different areas where you can see certain people, and then of course you would turn the wheel and read their 12 areas of life if you decide to do so. So, you know, that's just the energy. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Y'all have a good one. Stay safe out here. And, you know, we're going to continue on our grind. Peace.